So, for those of you who was paying attention in the first go around of Titan, you'll remember that there were not always the peaceful dwarves. There are those, of course, who hold to a different tradition, shall we say, and we call them the Ramsguard. Now, of course, that's one institution among many, and there's going to be dwarves out there fighting, but they don't necessarily fight for the same kinds of things or the same kinds of places that everyone else would. These guys, for the most part, fight with relatively ancient weaponry as well, and that comes to the definition of this dwarf number 4. The inspiration here was the at-addle, which is a sort of ancillary or axillary throwing stick for javelins. Imagine like a little javelin catapult held in your hand. Kind of hard to explain, but relatively simple little tool. And the dwarves, being dwarves, of course, don't throw javelins. They throw rocks. So imagine, if you will, the terror of being a little invader in the mountain homes, coming up, trying to, sneak in and steal off with some of the dwarven goods, and being met with the pinpoint accuracy of flying rocks beaten down on you and opening up skulls. So that was the general inspiration here. So these guys are absolutely the exception, not the rule. But again, it does mean that the impression that people might have of dwarves might be somewhat skewed, right? The interesting bit being that they very seldomly go abroad at all. These guys are defenders of the passes and the high places. They are the keepers of the old roots, because dwarves care about the mountains and they don't really give much of anything for anywhere else, apart from the very, very rare dwarven adventurers like Birkir, who goes on adventures and even stumble across some lowland dwarves like those who live in the glens beneath the old hollow hills and so on. Lots and lots of lost history in the world of Titan, but there are rules and then there are the exceptions, and these guys, as I said, are definitely the exception. So the drawing here was a little more expressive. I tried to be a little more aggressive with the brushwork here, and also go in and kind of do some fun little fun concepts. So rather than these guys kind of carrying extra armor, this guy has, as you might see, sort of iron or metal rings sewn into his beard, woven into his beard, you might say, as a form of armor instead. And I thought that was fun. Probably not super comfortable, but then again, he's a dwarf, so his tolerance for pulling on the beard is probably quite high. And at his feet, of course, we had to have some defeated enemies, abused as they might be. So a little hard to see, but it's the collapsed skull of a goblin, of a tussir, no, a helvetir, on the left and the right of his feet, and these poor bastards got the hell beat out of them, unfortunately for them. The weaponry of choice here is, of course, still a battle spade, the little sort of Pugio version of that at his belt. And you can imagine, what he uses it for. Primarily stabbing, one might think. But again, it's a spade, right? So I always like to think of the dwarves kind of using these as entrenching tools, and even in combat, like building or digging up little entrenchments and little walls, and fighting in a way that would make sense to dwarves, rather than sort of following the traditions of madlings, as they would call us, with a bit of a huff and a bit of a condescending smirk. And still had a lot of fun with this one. It was nice to kind of go in a little more rough and still pull out a pretty nice and cohesive design. And again, the addle thing is fun. I love the idea, again, of like these pinpoint accuracy stones coming flying, exploding off the hillsides and stuff. So yeah, that's our fourth and final dwarf for the Shorties month. I hope you enjoyed them. And we are on to something different after this.